Welcome. I'm Julia Child, and I'm going to have 19 people for dinner. And so I'm going to have a buffet, but it's going to be a very good meal anyway. I'm going to start out with turkey orloff, which is slices of turkey breast baked in a big pan with onions and mushrooms and a light creamy sauce. The main course of the turkey starts out with a rice and onion soubise. And that goes into boiling water. I'm going to give you all the proportions for this later, because I'm going to do what I think I like to serve in platters of 10 for 20 people. So I'm going to give you the proportions for 10 servings. And we're going to start out with this rice and onions braised together. And we have to have, for one platter of 10, I have to have 5 cups of chopped onions. And I like to have 2 platters, one at each end, and then an extra one for second servings. That means 15 cups of sliced onions. So unless you have 2 or 3 friends to help you, chop onions, you'd better have one of these food processors, because then you can do it all by yourself. And roughly chop 2 cups of onions. And they don't take much more than that. And when you chop them, you have to use this technique of on-off. It goes on, 4, 5, 6. Because if you do it anymore, if you do it fully, you'll find that you have chopped, that your onions have turned to mush. Now look, see, those are perfectly chopped there, and that took about 5 seconds to do. So I think if you're going to do any heavy entertaining in a rather complicated dish like this, you'd better have either friends or a friendly processor. I'm going to do some chopped mushrooms, because the other element is mushroom duxelles, which are very finely minced mushrooms like this. And we need about, let's see, I better look on my list how many we need, and I'm going to have to put on my glasses too, because I can't see that even far away. We need 12 ounces or 350 grams of mushrooms, which is about 1.5 quarts that have been diced. And so again, as with the onions, you roughly chop them first, and chop and then mince 2 cups at a time. And it's even more important with mushrooms that you do the on-off technique. And you keep looking at them. And there you are, perfectly chopped mushrooms, which would take you, heavens, a long time to do by hand. And particularly there would be, for 3 platters of 10, you'd have to have, well, 3 times that amount. Now I'm going to saute them using 2 tablespoons of butter. I got 4 in there, by mistake. And a little bit of oil. But before sauteing them, we'll have to squeeze them, because this is going to be a dry stuffing, and you've got to squeeze the juice out. And it's best to squeeze them in a purple towel, I think. And when you're doing a recipe like this, you don't wash out the food processor if you're doing sauces and other things until the whole recipe is done. And now, watch this. There they've been in the corner of a towel, and you twist the towel and watch those juices come out there. You see, if you didn't squeeze the juices out, it would take the mushrooms a lot longer to cook, and you'd never get the dry mixture that you're looking for. And then you can save the juices and add them to your sauce. And there's how they look, all squoze. I'll have another purple towel here. All the rest of these can go into the pan. And then here's the rest This is a double quantity here, but I'm just giving you the quantities for the 10. That was 1.25 quarts of mushrooms and about 2 tablespoons of butter. And stir that around, and then we want a teaspoon of salt in it, and well, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of dried tarragon, which gives a very nice flavor. Fragrant dried. And then stir that all around, and then you cook. It has to cook, for this quantity, it would cook about 5 minutes or more, stirring almost continually until they're all cooked. And it's hard to believe that that large amount of mushrooms will just cook way down to this. That just makes about a cup. And then, let me see, yeah, I think these are done. That's 5 minutes. And I want to drain them out. That's the rice. Drain it out. And then this is going to cook, braise in the oven with the onions. And I'm giving you a 10-person amount, but I'm doing a double amount. So you'd have 4 tablespoons of butter and 6 tablespoons of rice. And stir that around until that's melted. And then here are the onions. And the rice goes into the onions. And then in goes the butter. This makes an awfully nice vegetable dish, as well as a stuffing for things. And then stir that all around, mixing it thoroughly, and then that's going to bake. And it takes about an hour to bake in an oven at about 325. That's nicely mixed. It also needs about a teaspoon of salt in it. And it gets covered and goes into the oven, 325 for about an hour. I'm not going to put it into the oven because I have one that's all ready. You can see how it looks when it's done. It's sort of nicely, lightly golden yellow.